Welcome to the spine-tingling world of our unholy tales, where fear takes its darkest form and every shadow holds a chilling secret. We are your guides through the twisted and nightmarish tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat, clutching your pillow for dear life. Get ready to embark on a journey into the abyss of your deepest fears as we explore the realms of the supernatural, the macabre, and the unknown. Darkness. That's all I could see as I slowly opened my eyes. An endless void of black that seemed to stretch on for eternity. I blinked a few times, trying to clear my vision, but the darkness remained. Where was I? The last thing I remembered was falling asleep in my bed at home. But this definitely wasn't my bedroom. This wasn't anywhere I recognized. I tried to sit up and look around, but quickly realized I couldn't move. My arms and legs were bound by some invisible force, holding me down against a cold, hard surface. I struggled with all my might, but couldn't break free. Panic began to set in as the reality of my situation became clear. I was trapped. Blindfolded by this sinister darkness and immobilized against my will, I did the only thing I could do. I screamed, "Help! Is anyone there? Please help me!" My screams disappeared into the void, unanswered. There was nothing and no one here but me and this darkness. Suddenly, a sound cut through the silence. A low, rumbling laughter that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. The hairs on my arms stood at attention as a feeling of pure dread washed over me. That laughter was the most horrifying thing I had ever heard. The laughter grew louder, closer. There was a force behind it, an intention that I did not understand. Malice. Pure, unrestrained malice. Something beyond my comprehension seemed to be lurking out there in the darkness, toying with me. Then it spoke. Not in any language I knew, but directly into my mind. A raspy, spine-chilling voice telling me unspeakable things, telling me that I was here for eternity, that this darkness was now my home. I cried out in protest, insisting this was just a dream, a nightmare, and that I would wake up soon in my own bed, safe beneath the covers. The sinister voice only laughed louder. Days passed. At least, I thought they were days. There was no way to tell time in this endless void of darkness. The passing of time was measured only by my growing thirst and hunger. My screams for help soon faded to whimpers, and then to defeated silence. I slipped in and out of consciousness, tormented by visions of the life I left behind, my wife's beautiful smile, my children's laughter. It all seemed so far away now, like a dream I once had years ago. I begged internally for those visions to be real, and this nightmare to be the illusion. Wake up, please just let me wake up. But I never did. The demon kept me company. Its raspy voice invaded my thoughts, telling me I deserved this fate, telling me darkness was where I belonged. I tried to ignore it at first, but in the abyss, silence is the loudest scream. I started talking back to it, pleading for mercy I knew would never come. Its only response was that chilling laughter, echoing all around me. I was losing my grip on reality. The line between dreams and waking started to blur. Memories from my past played out before me like twisted scenes from a horror movie. All my failings and regrets danced around me in the dark, jabbing me with sharp accusations. Maybe I did belong here, in this endless nightmare. Maybe this was my punishment. "Let me out!" I bellowed into the darkness, my throat raw and aching. I didn't know how long I had been trapped here anymore. Weeks, months, years. I pulled against my invisible restraints until my wrists were bruised and bloody, but it was useless. The demon's laughter had long since faded, leaving me in silence. It only broke its vow of quiet to taunt me with lies meant to break my already fragile mind. I have to get out of here, I rambled to myself, manic desperation taking hold. I have a family, responsibilities. Please just let me go. I broke down, sobbing until I gagged, but no tears came. Crying requires hydration, and I had none left. Dehydration was setting in. I was weak, feverish, losing my grip. Reality was slipping through my fingers like wisps of smoke. I caught glimpses of my wife's face, but couldn't remember her name. My children appeared before me as toddlers, but I didn't know them. Panic rose and crashed over me like a wave. I was forgetting everything and everyone. My mind was dissolving, like sand through an hourglass. I felt myself dying. Perhaps that would be my escape. But death never came. Some sadistic force kept me anchored in life, even as my mind wasted away. Maybe this was my true punishment. Not darkness, but the loss of everything that made me who I was. I begged for mercy one last time, my broken mind appealing to the shadows. But there was no reply. There never would be. The nightmare would never end. Food appeared suddenly before me, a feast on a long table, bathed in warm light. My mouth watered at the sight and smell of it. Fresh bread, roasted meat, bowls of fruit so ripe I could almost taste them. It was glorious. Without thinking, I rushed forward and grabbed a loaf of bread, tearing into it ravenously. I devoured everything within reach, not stopping to wonder where it came from. The fear of poison briefly sparked in my mind, but hunger overruled it. If it killed me, so be it. Anything was better than this endless void. As I ate, something amazing happened. Colours. The inky darkness was replaced with a bright, vibrant field under a sunny blue sky. I could see greens, yellows, purples. It was almost too much after so long starved of light. Tears of joy streamed down my face. I didn't question my good fortune. I embraced it fully, feeling the warm sun on my skin, smelling the fresh air and flowers all around me. It was ecstasy after an eternity of darkness and despair. Overcome with relief, I laughed aloud. The nightmare was finally ending. Oh, beautiful daylight, how I missed you. But then I heard it, the familiar bone-chilling laughter of the demon. It echoed all around me, impossibly loud against the pastoral scene. No, not again. I fell to my knees crying out as everything dissolved to black once more. The feast, the field, it had all been a cruel trick. The nightmare continued. There was no escape. I claw at the walls, my nails splitting and bleeding against the cold stone. The textures beneath my fingertips change, sometimes smooth as marble, sometimes rough and jagged, but always hard, unforgiving rock. There are no more visions, no more tricks of light and feasts. There is only the darkness and the walls of my prison. I have mapped out every inch, tracing my fingers along the edges and crevices, looking for something, anything, to give me hope. A hidden door, a loose stone, some weakness in my cage that I can exploit to get out. But there is nothing. The walls are perfectly smooth in some spots, cruelly jagged in others, mocking my bleeding fingers with their impenetrability. Still, I search. 10 steps forward, then 10 steps back, then 10 steps left and 10 steps right. Round and round I go along the edges, stooping, reaching, crying out in pain and frustration. The walls offer no hope, no purchase for escape. Exhausted, I sink down against the cold, rough surface that shreds my skin. A sob catches in my raw throat. Somewhere beyond these walls, I know the demon lurks, watching my suffering with sick delight. It wants me to give in to despair, but I won't. One day, these walls will break, and when they do, I will be ready. My nightmare will end. It has to. A heavy door materialized in the darkness before me. There were no walls, just a door standing freely. It was old wood bound in black iron, ominous and foreboding. I knew it was a portal to some new cruelty. Still, I approached it. After untold time spent withering in madness here in the dark, this was something different. Different was hope. The door had no handle, but swung open at my lightest touch. A corridor lit by flickering candles lay beyond. I peered down it, every nerve alight with fear. At the far end, the corridor bent out of view to the left. I took one hesitant step forward, then another. When nothing happened, I started walking. The candle flames shuddered as I passed, shadows dancing around me. The corridor was long, perhaps hundreds of feet. I kept my eyes fixed on the end, watching for the turn to come into view. Logic said it had to be there at some point, but logic did not necessarily apply here. After countless steps, I reached it, resting my hand against the cold stone wall as I steeled myself to look around the corner. The sleetest hint of warm air drifted down the left passageway. I clung to it, letting it draw me forward. The new corridor looked identical to the first, lines of candles illuminating the path, except at the very end, almost too small to see, was a door. I crept toward it cautiously, listening for any sign of the demon, but all was silent except for my own strained breathing. At last, I reached the door. My hands shook violently as I turned the handle. A blinding light pierced my eyes, and I cried out. But inside, underneath the fear, I felt it. Hope. The light faded. I squinted against the glare and saw where I was. My neighborhood. My house. The front yard where my kids used to play. Disoriented, I stumbled up the walkway to my home and reached out to the familiar red door. It swung open at my touch. "Hello?" My voice was barely a croak. No answer. The house was empty, not a stick of furniture left. It was a shell, long abandoned. I moved through each room, flooded with memories at every turn. The scratches on the hardwood floor where our dog used to play. The height chart engraved with my children's growth, ending abruptly. The dent on the wall of our bedroom where my wife threw a clock during an argument. All those precious memories were like stabs to the heart now. This was the home I had shared with my family, the only place I had ever felt safe and loved. It was everything to me, but it was only an echo now. I sunk to my knees in the barren living room, holding my face in my hands. Sobs racked my body. After so long in darkness, I had hoped and prayed this was real, but it was just another twisted torture, another way for the demon to break me. "Please," I whimpered, "no more." Maniacal laughter filled my ears in response. The house melted away. I was back in the void, my heart shattered. I stared into the darkness, all hope gone. There would be no escape from this nightmare. Ever let me go.